just as weird as now is. I promise. The future's gonna be absurd as the past. Be sure of that. The future's gonna be just as weird as now is. I promise. The future's gonna be absurd as the past. Be sure of that. The future's gonna be just as weird as now is. I promise. The future's gonna be
Welcome.
absurd as the
Welcome.
past.
Welcome.
Be sure of that. The future.
Welcome to the Nonsensus. It is February the 10th. It is February the 10th of 2021. And this is a special little winter experience we've got going here at Reality the Musical the Festival. I am in Detroit City, Michigan. That's in the United States of America, otherwise known as Turtle Island on the planet of Earth that exists in what the Earthlings refer to as the Milky Way galaxy. It is snowing. It is cold. It's got the usual malaise of normal winter, depressive, dark, doomy gloomness starting to set in, and at least a lot of those that I talk to and interact with. I've been, during this whole pandemic experience, there have been strings of weeks where I observed myself to be adjusting well, and someone might ask me, "Hey, how you doing?" And if I'm honest, I always start, "How you doing?" post 2020 with, "Well, that's an interesting and complicated question." And if I'm doing well right then, I could say, "Well, right now I'm great." And right now I am also right now. If you ask me, "How am I doing?" I feel great. I feel it is the end, or at least startling at first, and now starting to really settle in, and then have these spikes of being unsettling moments. It's been a weird year and some time, but when I'm good, I'm good, and I am super grateful to have to be good when I'm good. I like the phrase. It's kind of a proverb now that there's no such thing as just okay. If you're okay, you're great. If you're doing good, you're doing great. And the more I learn about the nightmares of human history, it occurs to me so hard sometimes how great I'm doing when I actually think I'm doing bad. Like I have this. I've been doing this this job, this manual labor job, working at Capitalism TM, unloading semi trucks full of boxes, full of pillows, and they're actually heavy because there's a lot of them condensed in there, not like pillowcases. So it's heavy. It's heavy. I don't know. I would say like 30 pounds or so each box, and like hundreds of boxes out of a truck in the cold. And hearing myself say that as if I'm complaining is, I realize how not just hashtag whiny privilegey that is hashtag privilege. That's the thing that gets said a lot. So I usually try to use a word, a synonym like luxury, because that has so much context now. But anyway, if you have a job and somebody pays you to do a thing, even if it's repetitious and strenuous and difficult, I am so grateful the more I learn about just how much fucking serfdom and servitude happened before we got this thing going now, where there's like a lot of humans on the planet who can tell almost anyone in their lives no or fuck off or I'd rather not. And that was so not a thing for many of the well, there wasn't many millenniums. Wait, there what? But when my brain starts to think in fact stuff, it's I love this about my experience because it's my like consciousness setup. If if I start trying to do the thing that it's really popular with humans, where you speak very, very with a lot of confidence in your opinion, and then you sometimes somebody will find themselves like, oh, now we're getting to the point where I got to use facts to back up opinion, and it is the truth that there's a lot of us that don't have uh such a uh looking for a really big word for when you got a lot of, so I'll just say when you there are those who have such a vast arsenal of facts and data, and that I will say sort of brain, because I'm thinking a lot about neurodiversity lately. I'm thinking a lot about how some of us seem to be certain special sorts of computers, right? And there are those who are in awe of someone like me's ability to improvise endlessly and be interested in what I'm saying. Like this soliloquy thing now, this is fucking weird. Or at least a weird, it is a weird prospect to a lot of persons that I have talked to about this. Like you just can go and just talk and be interested in stuff. And when I'm experiencing this, it's like I'm following the interest of the thing. Anyway, I was veering off and about how some people's brains and now veering back and veering off of wherever that tangent was going. That my brain does not do specific data recollect well. I do not do that. I do not do that well. And I'll notice myself sometimes going into my very flimsy arsenal of facts and trying to find remembering dates or specific numbers of statistics. I just like and it's and I like this feature because it keeps me honest. I mean, I could be honest about being able to recollect the things, but I'll see someone just lying and looking into the creative, the what's the thing with your eyeballs, the neuro linguistic programming, the where somebody looks off to one side when they're doing creativity, i.e., lies. Well, lies if you're trying to recall a factual, objective thing, and you're looking off into that. And then you look the other way, and you're going from the data, the memory. Why doesn't that just work as the lie detector test? Because you can probably fake it, or that would be what if somebody was just there could just be a human who's just really, really well trained in that. There are individuals who are really good at telling when you're lying, and it's if you're someone who lies a lot, it would be good to figure out who those are in your life, because because I don't know if you know this, but if someone catches you lying, so I would say most of the time they don't tell you immediately in real time. Oh, what you're saying right now? I know that you're lying. That's like a heated moment, or just sometimes they're just someone who's really bold or just socially worried about tripping on other people's feelings, who will just be like, "Oh, you're lying. I know that you're lying." I think that usually what happens is they go and inform everyone around you that one lies. I caught them lying. They definitely lie. It's on the menu for them to just lie to you. And there's a lot of things about my persona, personhood, personality, setup, situations, being a Zachary that that I wrestle with and that uh, frustrates and bums me out. But I I like that I don't. I'm pretty honest. I don't lie much. Sometimes it seems like you gotta. And I used to be on the other side of that argument of just no, you just if we're just always honest all the time. But there's these moments when I notice that I can be aware of things that I've observed about, say, a social situation, or usually it's about a person. So I've got an example. I'm going to be very, very vague here and say things like this person I used to know. This person I used to know uh, asked me in earnest, uh, as if my response, like she was really going to listen and like take it to heart, not necessarily like, okay, I'll do that, but like really asked me, what should I do about my parents having they're not going to accept my even having smoked weed, let alone had premarital sex, all of these things that you and I know we should totally be allowed to, just do willy nilly like because we're adults. This person was above the age of 23. I'll say this was a while ago, but anyway. So she asked me, "What do I do when my parents ask me, do you this? Have you done this, this, and this?" And they're ready to fucking blow up or go nuclear and disown me, or just like they're gonna have a bad reaction to the truth. And the truth is, I'm gonna do these things because I'm not going to just accept. Well, I have tyrannical parents that have a different cultural lens that they view the world, and through that lens, if they find out the truth about me, they're going to be at the very least upset with me. At the very most, I won't have a relationship with my parents anymore, and they'll be very sad, and there'll be all this pain will come from the truth in that situation, right? And I observe that, and I've had conversations with the person before about the situation with the parents, and I've had this similar sort of conversation with several over the years. There are those amongst us now. I'll be specific that of there are those amongst us who have parents who are first generation immigrants who come from a much more like conservative definition of the term conservative, not like American conservative red team as opposed to blue team sort of conservative. I'm saying like conservative as in like you get born, you have a period of time where you're allowed to flail around playfully. Then at some point, and perhaps very young, then you go into the learning period of your life, and we are just cramming you with input and getting you prepared to have the most well structured and well financed and disciplined and skilled career path to the next phase of life, which is then when you meet the one for you and have the one romantic sexual relationship that is allowed or honorable or allowed to be known about. And it's got to be this way, and it's got to be with this ethnicity of person, or it's got to be somebody who really has a career going. And sometimes there's the option of yourself meeting somebody who has a really well a lot of structure and success in their life, and then by finding one of those and marrying it, you are then allowed to let loose the reins of your own trying to giddy up the horses in a direction of having that yourself. I could you just said marrying into money is allowed, but there's not as many tentacles of possibility that will not be shunned and shamed or just totally fucking not allowed. I mean, I guess you're allowed, but for some, and I'm talking about like there's a lot of different folks and a lot of different tribes, cultures, group identities where this is a thing with the parents. But like the most extreme that I could think of. No, I like I like being vague. I'm going to stay vague here. But anyway, so there's folks who got that situation going on in the US of A right now. They were born in the land of the free and the home of the us, but their parents spent work entirely their whole consciousness formulation took place somewhere where everyone around them was encouraging that level of structure and let us not fuck around and find out. Let us do it the way that seems to work and that is societally sanctioned and sometimes religiously ordained. The way you're allowed to exist. Especially with the romantic sexuality thing, and the drugs, and it's a lot of things. There's a lot of things you're not supposed to. Yeah, there's things with your appearance, and there's all. Anyway, so some of us have that experience going on, and I think that is an example of a time where there's this thing going on where you're not really lying by saying the not true answer when you are asked by that person in your life, what'd you do last night? That person might ask you, what'd you do last night? A good metaphor for this, an analogy for this is, I don't think that you're really lying to the police officer if you get pulled over and a cop says, do you have anything illegal in the car? And you know that the correct, true answer to do you have anything illegal in the car is yes, I do. And it's this and this and this and this. And I know where this is. Also, I have a vibrant social life and I hang out with a lot of people who it's likely that on some drunken evening of driving them home, they, left a bag of this white powder that might be somewhere in this in the cushion that I don't there might be illegal things in my car that I'm not aware of that you might find, and I'd be like, oh yeah. But when you're in that position of is there anything illegal in the car, authority who is societally sanctioned and employed to then respond to your honest answer with, okay, and now we go to jail with you, or fines, or if you're in the right state of this menu of different shapes in which have different laws about things like drugs. You're going to be in trouble. So those situations are similar. Parent who is, it's like it's not their fault. Or is it? I mean, I don't know that. I might have to say that as a question. Is it their fault? Is it someone's fault if they were born into immediately from birth and all the way up to now, they've only been encouraged and enculturated to fear certain stuff, and one of the ways that they'll show love to someone like their child that they have governance over is to stop them from doing things that they are sure will fuck your life up or just be risky. They just like, that there's definitely stories of characters who became parents and had a hyper conservative definition of the word conservative upbringing themselves, and now their knee jerk is to bring you up that way, and part of that is I'll be this mad and potentially like disown you, and you won't have a parental relationship and I won't have a child relationship. There's been folks who have just been, well, I don't want to cast judgment upon them, but where it's not coming from a place of love. There's definitely parental relations sometimes where there's just so much of this this fucking narcissism, and if the child starts looking like they might pass you in the race, then there's the jealousy and shit. Like, I've definitely observed some parent-child dynamics that were just shit. But I would imagine that there's more parents who are trying to do the thing where they're trying to protect you from the world by threatening you with certain punishments if you do something like drugs or premarital sex, or that's it. Is that their fault? Like, is fault a concept that is blame what we should be doing, or is it figuring out how to get to a better place? Anyway, back to the question of, you've been asked, what did you do last night, by a parent who has made it quite apparent to you that they will fuck your life up and theirs, that they will cause pain to you and be in pain themselves if you respond with the truth about what you did last night, which is a bender orgy, fucking really tied one on. Do you say, well, I did. I had a fair amount of drugs and dicks entered me last night. I mean, and then they ask, well, what were the particular drugs, and who were the names of the humans attached to the dicks? And I think that if it came to that, then be honest, right? But in my observation of this situation, which I never had this situation, my parents, my mother has always been very encouraging of my fucking around and finding out, as long as it wasn't something like really. She didn't let me get a tattoo when I was a teenager, like 14, and wanted to get the Hatchet Man. That is the logo of Psychopathic Records, Insane Clown Posse, and Twisted. I was into that when I was a 14, 15-year-old lad, and I wanted to get it branded on me, and my mom said no, and I think that was probably the right move. That was right, and I am actually very, very thankful that I encountered an adult man at Burning Man who had a big "that" tattooed on his back. And I brought it up, and I was being totally, like, more than neighborly. I was trying to bro out about us having a similar thing. I assumed that, and I was right. I assumed, oh, I'm in the presence of somebody who also, like, was down with the clown cult sort of thing. And not even as a, I'm not even denigrating it by calling it a cult, but it is it was so the fuck that when I was into it. Anyway, so he ended up, he got the tattoo, and we're around the same age, probably like mid-20s. And I say, oh man, I used to be into that too. I grew up around the Detroit area, and yeah, totally had juggalo is the word they say for fans of that. So I got to have, like, was trying to bro out with him about that. By bro out, I mean just have a communal experience with another adult. about, no, it doesn't have to be an adult. You can bro out about anything. Broing out is the same as nerding out. So I was trying to nerd out about, but bro out has more of like the, you bro out about something like that. You nerd out about something like you're having a vast knowledge of the world of manga or anime or um, a science school of thought. Anyway, so I attempt to bro out with this guy about his having a Hatchet Man Psychopathic Records logo tattoo, which is of a guy holding a hatchet, though it looks more like a meat cleaver, and he's got like spiky crazy hair, and he's running with a hatchet. Who runs with who does that? You must be crazy. You must be psychopathic. Records logo on, and it was large. He had a large Hatchet Man tattoo, and I'm like, hey man, I just like I grew up around Detroit, and that was totally my shit. Ages 14 to 15, and now we're both here at Burning Man, and he got sad in the face, and it's funny and tragic. He was bummed out that somebody was bringing it up, that he was talking about it, but it was a big tattoo on his back, and I realized in that moment that totally could have been me. And the thing that stopped it was my mom saying, no, you may not get a tattoo of the horrorcore rap record label that you enjoy as a 14-year-old. I, as mother, as your parent, am going to veto that. This is one of those moments where you're a child trying to make a dumb decision, and I have the power to stop you, and I'm gonna. So I totally know how that can be done properly. Well, that can be a righteous move to stop your child from doing something fucking stupid when they're too young, and it's not. But with in my case with my parents at a certain age, it was, you're an adult, you do what you want now. Don't do stupid, dangerous things. And my mom is very glad that I avoid injury. I avoid violence. I avoid danger. I don't avoid emotional danger as much as many. And it's an interesting thing. Back to the thing of like biodiversity as well. There are turtles, there are jellyfish, there are fucking eagles. There are eagles, fucking there are fucking jellyfish, fucking eagles. That's an image. There's a lot of biodiversity. There's a lot of neurodiversity. There's different humans with really different brains doing different stuff. And kind of lost track of what I was saying there. But back to the thing. Yeah. So the kind of tyrannical, but it might not be their fault because of how they were enculturated, parent asks you, what did you do last night? And you were putting all sorts of naughty, sinful materials into several orifices of your body. There was stuff going up the nasals. There was stuff going up the one that is a complex improper rhyme. Is that a thing? When it's not quite a rhyme. There's like a perfect rhyme, and I don't know any of the terms for rhyming in poetry, but I do write poems. I think that's the way I would prefer it, because if I had the structure, then I wouldn't be able to avoid the structure, and that's actually a thing that I think is great, can be great about things like religions. It can be. It has been done quite badly. I've heard it said that Christianity at its core has some good stuff, but it has literally 2,000 years of the worst hype men possible. We are working with some of the worst is a big word. Some of the most problematic is a word that has too much hashtaggy context now. But there's like so much pain and opposite of freedom and goodness results from the way several religions are interpreted, right? Like what parts are focused on. And one thing that I very much understand now. I'm not saying it's good. It is just plain bad in its manifestations in society often. But I understand where the thing comes from, where you focus on, especially when you're trying to raise a child, and it's like, holy shit, the responsibility and the worry of doing it wrong, and the actual results that might result from a failure, uh, like your child uh, really descending into some very painful, and also, and this is the part I have less empathy with, but it's a thing. The dishonor thing, or I wouldn't say empathy. I have less personal experience with the fear of the whole community will shun and shame the fuck out of you, and perhaps stop in some situations, stop doing business with your dad, because they're like the whole community will pull away from you because you went and let your child become a fuck off, sort of thing. So that's where that's coming from. And the part that I empathize and understand about it is the part where you're like, I'm trying to protect my kid, and the voices in our heads are like, what's going on emotionally is often different than what you express, because you're in a different forum. I've heard it said, Liza something. I need to see. This is the thing where I don't remember. I remember quotes. I do not remember who said quotes. I think it was. I'm gonna look this. I gotta look it up. No, I can't do that right now. Okay. But the quote is that anger is sadness's bodyguard. Yeah. And that's an example of, just a stern, stoic face, and you're being mean and you're saying no. But where that's coming from emotionally at its core is like, I really don't, I love you and I don't want you to get hurt. And obviously that's not across the board. But I think that that's mainly what's going on. Even if you're just totally fucking scientism, atheistic, all of reality and the consciousness experience is a total fluke, and we're only experiencing this because somehow brains grew from the primordial stew, and ended up being us, and none of this matters, or none of this has the meaning that we experience. All has some sort of evolutionary function, sort of. If you see the world like that, even then I think that we can just observe that most parents of human children, that human parents tend to love, or at least have love for their child, right? And if you're in a situation like everybody used to be, where not everybody, wait, well, I think everybody, it doesn't seem like there's any record in all of human history where a village grew to a thing big enough to call it something like a society, though there's totally a societal structure going on in a village, but, or, a tribe, a, a troop. But you get, it seems like all of the human civilizations, that's the word, once it gets to the point where it's like that biofractal of the same monocrop of biology, that little cluster of humanity is that has a civilization now. All the civilizations were fucking mean to each other a lot at the beginning, and now if you look at the whole world, I know it looks and seems and often feels like a really scary chessboard, and there's those nuclear silos that one of my wishes for us going forward is to one day walk with children through a nuclear silo that has been converted into a museum of abnormal human psychology. It's like, and to be showing children, yeah, these got made. This building, this facility was this got funding and got made with taxes. And I imagine the child would be like, "Wait, so they were gonna I don't, and that I really hope I can find my way back to what I was saying before that. Nuclear silos turned into museums of abnormal human psychology. Um, fuck. My brain does that. I wonder if my brain would do that less if I took ADHD medication, at least like when I want to do a podcast. And I like to land ships. It was said, I like the feeling of a completed thought. I think we all do. I think humans are wired for storytelling, and storytelling is a big part of. Oh yeah, I went into religion because religion. One of the neat things that religions do when they go well is they provide a structure for a consciousness experience to happen where you are, and this is where things go wrong. uh, if religion done well, you would be encouraged. You would be so encouraged. It would be so encouraging, and it wouldn't be lying to you. It and there's totally I don't think Buddhism. I'm not one who's just gonna well, maybe one day I will have a thing where I get super super into and really really like uh, uh unsolicitedly uh stumping for Buddhism, as several that I have known and loved do. Maybe I'm just not mature enough for that cosmic framework yet. But what Buddhism-ing I have done uh, feels encouraging to me, and not so shaming as what I got an experience of with particularly Lutheran Christianity, the Judeo-Christian framework. And then at age 14 I decided I want to be Jewish because there was enough of that going on in my bloodstream from my dad. And then later I found out from a ancestry test that my mom said that there was a little bit of Jewishness on her side too. So I'm like, that's because that's a rule with it, right? It's got to be from the mom side. Anyway, as you can probably just tell from my demeanor about it, I am not a practicing either of those. um Judaism, Christianity, but the what we refer to as the Judeo-Christian uh, framework of like reality definitely still has some guardrails and scaffolding in my consciousness experiment for sure. I notice that all the time. It's also being societally signaled all around me all the time because I live in America. So um, the things that I think suck about that are feeling ashamed about uh it's silly stuff like jerking off, or and not just jerking off as in literally, but just not being good enough, sort of thing. Wasting your life, not being pious and purposeful in the eyes of your Lord, sort of stuff. Like I don't think like that anymore. But there's an emotional registry. I had a philosophy teacher in community college uh, who used to say that she still feels like she has a lot of Catholicism going on in in her with her, even though she's been teaching philosophy for more than a decade, several decades, and where she's teaching people all these different ways of viewing reality, and it would be she wouldn't be able to stay in that have that job in a secular environment, right? Like if you're a philosophy teacher and the whole time you're like I had this introduction to religions class in community colleges as well, where this guy was totally just he was a Christian elderly man uh, who was actually a priest before, so Catholic. Yeah, he was a former priest teaching an introduction to religion class, and he would overtly frame things as, okay, today or this week we're learning about the religion of Islam and what the Muslims think about reality. And wow, boy, I'll tell you, it's some stuff. So we're gonna learn about what those people think today, and then it's like, and now we're learning about the Jews, which had some stuff right, but one big thing way off. And then when it came time for Christianity to be taught, he framed it as, and this is the way it actually is. Like, it was pretty overt. It was intense. Me and my sister dropped out of that class within when it became like philosophically unbearable for us to listen, because it was funny and cute at first, and like, funny in that we like, sometimes it you just there's stuff going on in reality and other people's choices, and sometimes even an institutional thing like that, like hiring this guy who was, it must have been obvious that he was going to be a Catholic priest teaching an introduction to religions class, and that was going to happen. But anyway, being in those situations, sometimes I like to laugh about it. And if I have the option, drop out of the class and have to bear that no longer. But and then we had this introduction to religion teacher who was so great and so encouraging. That's that, like, if you're gonna have an idea of there being like a personified Godhead that loves you, I think it's very, very important that it, he, they, she, whatever, that deity, that personified reality personified, right? Because if it created reality, it's it's the persona of what is. It's God. Yeah, that should that voice should be encouraging you, right? Or at least not like constantly shaming you for being how you are when it fucking made you, or at least set into motion you're being made. Because it could be said that your parents made you, and then there's the thing of the it totally gave us free will. Like, it was hands off at a certain point, but it made the thing, it set it in motion, and it has some rules for you. Yeah, to bring an end to that tendril of the rant, I think that it definitely it clearly causes us a lot of pain, and not as much of a fun time here when everything is about rules, and less about possibilities, what you can do, because you can do a lot here, and you can do a lot here with it with any. I haven't spent a ton of time. I've spent a ton of time with people who are who were brought up with Christianity. I spent a decent amount of time with Jews and Muslims, or I'm trying to completely stop doing the thing where I refer to humans as any team or group identity thing. I will say, okay, so and those who were raised with Judaism or Islam, and the reason why I want to do that, do the thing where I stop calling people things, is because I really don't want to be called anything. I definitely don't like it. So, do unto others sort of thing. Also, there's the thing. It's the first principle of theory of enchantment, which I am super into, which is treat people as human beings, not as political abstractions. Anyway, and Jesse Fox says there are possibilities because of rules. Yes, this is that, and that's a fucking mature idea. That it took me a while to see that. Without structure, I personally, I flail around and do a bunch of little stuff. And with structure and some goddamn discipline, long form works of art, for example, can be brought into reality so that everyone can enjoy them. And that's so rewarding, right? It's the marshmallow experiment. Excuse me, mallow. That's important to me. Proper pronunciation of marshmallow, not mellow. though I will fail again. I will sin again and call marshmallows. But the marshmallow experiment, I may butcher the articulation of this, but something like they got a bunch of they got a bunch of kids to to they would offer them a marshmallow now. You can get one marshmallow now, but if you wait, you'll get two marshmallows later. And most of them took the marshmallow. But the ones who didn't take the marshmallow because they knew they would get a more rewarding experience if they were patient, or at least if they fucking waited, um, those ones tended to do better in life. And better in life, to say that's a big thing to say. You did better in life, because that assumes yeah, a known metric, a true metric for what is a life well lived. But so back to the thing about a parent who is very religious and all about structure and rules. And if you want to get into the nitty gritty, like psychology and emotion of that, they're probably genuinely very worried about you, and that may come from a very loving place of, no, I'm not going to let you get a fucking tattoo on your forehead of a three-eyed walrus because you met some friends and they had this interesting vaporizer pen that taught you some shit about reality, and now you're sure that you need to get a Ganesh on your cheek really big, like when you'd go to, well, when I as a child would go to or my parents would take me to the fair, and there'd be somebody who would paint things on your face, and usually badly. I remember I wanted to have a Ninja Turtle, Donatello, the Ninja Turtle with the purple headband on my face, and it didn't look anything like anything. It was stupid, and I was upset, and I washed it off as quick as I could. A 14-year-old kid might come up to you like, I need to get this tattoo of this cult thing on me, and it's, I totally think, a righteous and loving and it is the correct choice to tell them, no, you may not make that choice, and if you do, uh, well, you won't, because I exist and I'm going to stop you. That is not tyrannical parenting in my observation. But back to the question that started all of this. My friend was asking me, what do you think that it's all right for me to lie if my parent or parents ask me something like, what did you do last night? And I did one or several things that I'm not supposed to, or that they have specifically threatened me about. And I told her, I think that you've got a situation where there's a lie ready to cause pain. And the lie is the lie that your parents were told, that is, my child, even if they're 23 years old and we are in a societal scenario where there aren't, well, there's always consequences to things like drugs and sex and stuff. But or potential, there's potential risk when you do. I mean, the most fun things in life are spicy, and can potentially cause problems. Anyway, yeah, my answer was, and I think my answer still is today. Let me think about it. I've been thinking about it out loud. Yeah, I think that when there's someone like a police officer or a hardwired, deeply enculturated adult parent in your life who is ready to be in pain and cause you pain, and it's just going to be they're just going to fuck the day up if you tell them the truth about something that their reaction to it is a lie. It's not actually that. Like, let's make it about something very specific. Smoking cannabis, formerly known as marijuana, but I think we're agreeing to discontinue that. cannabis is not that dangerous, correct? There are those, including just me 5 years ago when it wasn't legal yet, so it was not strategic to say the things that were the downsides of it because we just had. I felt like it just had to be focusing on what was good. I feel like it, like the lies and actual back end dark sides of cannabis were getting enough press, and yeah, the going forward was, this is really, really good, this is medicine, this helps, this is not dangerous. Now I would say it's the downsides of it are very much they're totally personal relationship, personal choice sort of thing. If you, and for some people, smoke weed all day, well, or doing dabs to the dome, any form of, they're just putting all of the cannabis, all of the THC into their bloodstream all day, every fucking day, and they are living great lives, you know. And once again, I don't know the metric for what is a life well lived, but they are both, you know, they're not thwarting all their responsibilities, and you know, not, though I'm stopping the thing where I pressure people to aspire. If you're an aspirational person, that's good. That's great. But I actually think there's a lot of problems with like encouraging that, like the not everybody needs to be go getter. But anyway, I know people who are putting all the cannabis THC drugs into their bloodstream all the time, every day, and they're doing great. And then I've been a person myself who I notice when I smoke weed in social situations, I become unemboldened, and I sometimes just I decide I have to leave. And I could have really, like, you know, something societally applaudable, like advanced my career. But I didn't because I got high. You know, then okay, that's a thing that apparently has a consequence. And it's, you know, it's really, there's a lot of subjectivity going on there. Was it really was it my pothead years? Like, was it the cannabis that, this makes me want to smoke weed right now. And I will. Yeah. So cannabis is not that bad, right? We agree that it's not, that it's certainly, I wouldn't use a word like dangerous. But there are still those, and I think this specific example that I'm giving of those who, isn't it Malaysia where it's like you can still be executed for having cannabis, or is it just if you sneak it in from Australia? I'm gonna feel stupid for saying that. I think it is Malaysia. I was talking to someone from Malaysia the other day. But anyway, so you say you got parents who spent the whole, you know, were totally enculturated to the point where, you know, you can be enculturated to the point where you're hardwired. And so they believe in their bones cannabis, or I'll call it marijuana, for that marijuana is dangerous and bad, and if I will fucking be so mad and rain hell upon my child if I find them with or on cannabis drugs. Or I think most it would just be like, it's just drugs. You know, there's not categories of safe drugs or bad drugs. So that's a lie, right? I'd say, or from us observing this from the outside, like they have a lie in their head that weed is dangerous and that it's appropriate to rain hell upon their child if they find them doing weed. So when they ask, have you been smoking weed? The true answer is yes, if you have been. That and for the sake of this, is this analogy? Yeah, this is an analogy. I mix up analogy and metaphor often. I mix up things. I have a switcheroozy brain. But yeah, if you've been smoking weed and you are asked by someone who is going to make your life a world of shit and also be, you know, just unnecessarily upset and suffering themselves about the truth, is it in that situation okay to lie to save yourself and them, and I think it's usually both, that you're just saving the world a lot of pain. And that is my personally held, or just right now, that is my working framework about when it is okay to lie. It's when the truth will be responded to with emotions that are rooted in a belief about reality that is not true. It's almost like it's feeding the lie monster. It's and this is one that I'm like, I would like to be debated about this, and or not debated. I would like to engage in dialectic about this, and I'm really open to move. I'm open to changing my mind about this, because I one of the things that I agree with Sam Harris about really intensely is lying is bad and very bad. He has a book that's called Lying. It's about lying. It's about telling the truth. But yeah, lying does seem to me to be I don't know if root is the word, but it's that there's a lie at the center of our problems. There's something that we're not truthing about. So it sucks to speak. It sucks to be put in a position where, especially like that, and you're usually younger when this is happening. But man, I've known people who it's not the child parent relationship is, you're a lifer. You risk disownment from their finding out the truth. Or, you comply with whatever rules there are. And for a lot of individuals, I've known numerous stories where this was the case. It's like it would be a real problem if my parents knew about what I do and what I desire and what I plan to do. Oh, and right now, you know what I empathize for a lot of it? Like, I feel about this often. There are those with that situation and with their parents, and they know they're not going to get married anytime soon, and there's much pressure to get married, and to get married to a particular sort of person, or straight up a particular person, and they know they don't wanna, and they might know they're not gonna. Like, I'm 32 now, and I don't know if I'm gonna get married at any point. I don't know. It's something that I more and more, not on both sides, more and more, I understand what might be beautiful and beneficial to my life. I don't think about other people's choices so much anymore, because and this is a maturity thing. The more and more I experience other human beings are very different than me. They have different situations, they have different wishes and dreams and desires and reflexes, and we're just, again, I will use the word neurodiversity. The word is very neurodiverse, and your neurology, your brain is like, it seems like they're having trouble figuring out whether it's rendering a reality or absorbing it, observing it, taking it in. Maybe I think that there's something going on where we just can't explain the brain, because we're making words about a thing that has made it possible to do words. And so but it's very, very interesting. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, we're very neurodiverse. We're very different. We got very different brains, very different situations. So I used to think about and spend more time, judging and like just having little corrective suggestions for how other people are living their lives. I have nothing. I don't even think about. I mean, I think about my friends and stuff, but I don't. I don't think what would be good for everyone, for others. What would be good for anyone else? I'm only can think about myself. When I think about marriage, I think that it would be. I can think of how tremendously beautiful and mutually beneficial and just great it would be if this is a very cliche sentence. If I met the right person, and that's the contingent thing. And as much as I am a very optimistic, I've mostly an optimistic brain most of the time, and I'm working on that. That's a skill. That's a thing that I'm leaning into to have it so that it does that knee jerk more. I think it's good for having a good life to to try to help to assist your brain to have more thoughts like, this might work out, as opposed to we're totally doomed, this is fucked, and everybody here sucks. Though my brain does that, it was doing that a lot last night and this morning. When I pressed record, I was just going to talk about how bad of a day I had yesterday and how I was able to turn that into um, Joker laughter earlier today when my car battery died as I was going to get this webcam. I left the webcam at a friend's house doing another podcast, and I've done this before. I've left stuff, and I swear I'm not doing it on purpose. Some people will leave anchors. I've done that on purpose in relationships before, but I've had that done to me so much more than I've done it. Leave anchors at other people's houses, like you leave an item and you want an excuse to have to come back. I'm gonna virtue signal and say it's been a while since I did that. But anyway, yeah, I left a thing at a friend's house, and he left it in the mailbox for me to get. I turned the car off to go and get the thing out of the mailbox, come back, and the vroom, 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 vroom. And because of how bad of a brain day I had yesterday and last night, my brain was doing horrible things last. You ever be in the torture chamber of your own consciousness? Oh my God. The word I will use is wretched. Like, I think that certain terms feel like they were coined by someone that was feeling that and was like, just I feel, and this is so like pre-existence of the word wretched. Somebody was like, oh God, the way I feel is just, fuck, it's not just bad. It's not just bad. It's not just awful. It's not just that I'm uncomfortable and in pain. It's wretched. And that's how I feel. I felt wretched last night, and I think that there's this thing where or the way I experience my brain is like, it can't rain all the time. It also can't gush with joy and euphoria all the time. But anyway, I was gushing with so much wretchedness last night. My brain was just doing it. I could not bring myself to do something to discontinue that the most doom brain shit was going on. It was bad. And then this morning I woke up and I did not want a reality at all. And I went and did this manual labor job where I take boxes full of pillows out of a semi truck in the cold, and it's a little uncomfortable. And it's not, and the most uncomfortable thing for me about it is the emotional, psychological, philosophical, values based thing of like, I am unloading a truck full of boxes full of pillows I don't give a fuck what happens to these pillows. I don't give a I'm only doing it because you're giving me Federal Reserve notes. And sometimes I think not enough. And other times I'm like, you ungrateful little prick, you're making $15 an hour to do something that is not so bad. Shut up. Anyway, when the car battery died, because I'd spent so much time feeling shitty and like really like leaning into negativity, when something was actually like really inconvenient and uncomfortable, like it's really, really cold now. It's February in Michigan. It's very cold out there. Like we get excited when it's over 20 degrees Fahrenheit at this point in the winter. And it's been real cold. And it was real cold. My feet particularly were real cold. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to kind of, just slightly kind of first world suffer in this car for a bit until I get my car jumped. This is great. And I think I was there for maybe 20 minutes, a half hour before somebody came and jumped my car. And that was great. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Ryan, for coming and, saving me is hyperbolic, but thank you for helping me out of an uncomfortable situation. That I thank you for that. But yeah, when I went to turn the car on and vroom, 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 and I was realizing, yep, this is not going to start, and I'm going to be out here in the cold for a while, perhaps. And I got to do the thing now where I got to get somebody to help me, and my fucking I'm in this mood where it's hard. It's so hard when I'm in one of those moods to be pleasant. So there was just in that moment becoming aware of all of this unpleasant experiences are happening to me now because of my own dumbness. I should really get that battery checked out. I've known that it was bad for a while, and and this has been happening anyway. Vroom, 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 and I started laughing maniacally. And then usually once I have one of those, it's very cathartic to do a maniacal. And we just there's that movie Joker that was the more recent one, which I think a lot of us have a much more ominous, dark, archetypal context that when you say Joker, than before that movie was made, because that took it to a fucking really dark place. Well, no, The Dark Knight took it to a really dark place, but this last one took it to a really fucking dark place. And I can't remember the director's name because I have difficulty with names. Unless I think and talk about someone a lot, I don't tend to remember celebrity or artist names. Should I try to get better at that? Should I do more? Jim Quick is somebody who I enjoy and appreciate and absorb a lot of his content. And it's about having better brain techniques, better brain, working on your memory, and it's just helping to assist your brain to be as healthy and functional as possible. Should I work on my memory, or should I accept that I remember some stuff? I don't like it when it's embarrassing that I don't remember something, when it seems like I don't know what I'm talking about, when I really just can't remember the proper nouns part. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so I had this maniacal laughter Joker moment in the snowy cold, when I realized that I was in trouble. I'm gonna strike this wine now. I have a glass of wine here. So yeah, I didn't feel much happiness and no euphoria or bliss yesterday. And you can say, well, I'm grateful for the good things in my life. And you can be making those mouth sounds and you don't fucking feel any goddamn real gratitude about the good stuff in your life. That's one of the big, very common problems with humans. Like, appreciating things consistently across time is fucking hard. It is, and I would say that most of the time, most of us do not really feel gratitude when we think about things that are really, really deserving of gladness, gratitude in our lives. Like, a big one that comes to mind is just like relative personal safety. And that's that I benefit a lot from. It could be worse, like that when I really recognize it could be so much worse. That tends to have me react like that. Like, even as my brain is saying the sentence, it goes into that like kind of laughter. The humorous. It could be so much worse, as opposed to, oh my God, it could be so much worse. Like, it could be so much worse. It could be so much fucking worse. And when I'm doing that job with the pillows, the boxes of the pillows, taking them out of semi truck, in the cold, it can be really uncomfortable. And if I'm in a really shitty mood, it's like, this fucking sucks. And your brain starts saying something like that, like, this fucking sucks. And you know what happens what happens to your experience of reality as you cast the spell, this fucking sucks, is it sucks more. It will suck for you more. And, or at least I will speak in my own experience. If I say in that shitty, whiny, sincerely just saying, not being any kind of humorous, this sucks, this moment sucks, boy, does it not help. And I'll be at that job sometimes, and this is really dark. I'll see the barbed wire fences. You already know where I'm going with this. I'll see there's barbed wire fences around, and as I'm unloading boxes full of pillows out of the semi trucks in the cold, and I see the barbed wire fences in the distance, and I think of historical allegories that I'm more familiar with than many, and I'll think, yeah, this could be a whole lot worse. You're being paid to do this right now. You could actually just leave. You could leave. I could drop whatever the box in my arms. I could drop it and not talk to anyone and walk out, and that would be dickish of me, but I would not be shot. They would just be like, "What the fuck, man? What the fuck?" And then they would say to the boss man, Zach just walked out the other day. It's like, well, I'm not gonna fucking call him anymore. Jesus Christ. And maybe like maybe there'd be some move for them of like not paying me for the hour that I was there. But anyway, I could just leave. You could just leave. You could just quit your job. You can just not, and not be, gunned down by somebody in a guard tower. I like really actually appreciate that more and more. And younger me didn't feel the gratitude about that. It was just a fun fact. Like, it could be a lot worse. Now it's like, oh my God, it could be so much worse. I'm so glad that it's not. And yeah, our relationship with the past. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. I will remind those who are listening in the year 2073 that this recording, I am a person right now in the moment of February 10th of the year 2021. There was some stuff happening in the United States of America where I am in the year 2020 and into 2021 now that it has been. It is hard not to think about the past. We're kind of living in the momentums of the past. That's a personal observation and like a big part of what could be called I'd say, yeah, that's like my politics is a big part of my politics is, hey, everybody, I really actually think that there is a way for us to make make reality, the train of reality. We would do the thing where you switch the tracks, where we go, we can, and this is called game B is one of the ways that this is talked about. But I really actually think and would really like to help support and encourage and advance and hopefully arrive at a reality where more of us are agreeing that it's like we can be in the future now. We can be at least we can be in the presence. We can be in the present. We can be in the presence of our now decisions as opposed to just being constantly like living in the echoes of past humans' decisions. And there's as individuals, I think that we can choose to game B at any moment. As societies and governments and like the if there's a personality, if there's a personhood to like if the United States of America was a character, then there's stuff you call it a guy. There's some stuff that America might need to do something that could be called atoning for before switching the tracks and just entirely launching into game B. There's a strong signal of that, but there's a lot of things a lot of problems that we are swimming in right now that I observe as like we are suffering the we are suffering the reverberations of past choices of a lot of dead people. It's like that's what a law is, right? Like a law was passed yesterday or in the past. If the most recently changed law is still the past. Like And I like democracy because it's democracy. It's a bunch of people deciding together, ideally, when it works. There are those who are saying that what is going on in the good old US of A, right, lately and for a while is, or for the whole time, has not been a true democracy, and some would say not even close. And there have been words like oligarchy said, but no matter what you think about, or even if we got to the closest to what would be a true democracy, we'd still be uh the decisions that we made together were always they were always made yesterday in the past. Does this make sense? Because sometimes it's totally possible sometimes for me to have thoughts and ideas and threads in my head that when I go to try to communicate them to others, they don't make any sense to anyone but me. And sometimes that's because I haven't done the thing where I'm saying it right or in a way that's understandable. And sometimes it's because I am having a thought that does not make sense. Sometimes I actually do that. And that helps me with humility because I have caught myself entirely immersed in thinking that is sometimes a tad grandiose and sometimes it's just complete nonsense. Sometimes I am swimming in nonsense. Hello, Lorraine. Hello. And hello, Josh, if you're still here. Gosh, Josh, I miss certain people. To be entirely honest, there were people that I was seeing often before the this happened that I am just I'm or I'll put it this way so that nobody feels like this is about them, because there's always somebody who thinks that it's about them. I wouldn't do that. I would not speak about you. Wait, I was talking about, well, I was earlier. I made an analogy of no, allegory is the word, with the one thing where you talk about something that happened. I was recalling an experience that was of a specific person, but I did not say their specific name. Anyway, it is not in my nature. It is not my policy to uh, talk about specific people in a way where I'm throwing fucking shade at someone that I currently know when I go into podcasting mode. Um, I like that I've trained my brain to say, this person I know or a friend of mine. But sometimes, and this is the thing of like, you're always trade-offs. There's always somebody who's going to be mad at you. I'll say a friend of mine, and that friend of mine will hear the podcast and be like, what are you like ashamed to know me? You don't want to say my name? And sometimes they're a person who's doing public things, but I don't know, man. I would rather have my brain be trained to knee-jerkingly say a friend of mine than to always be saying first names or first and last names and piss somebody off in that way. Or because that it's not even just pissing them off. I feel weird about it. I would like anyone that I know, like, especially when I have romantic, sexual, or just sexual or romantic, or any kind of relationships with someone, I don't want them to think that it's in the cards that I'm going to fucking talk about them publicly. I might recall a story, an experience that involves them, but I will say this friend of mine. I don't even know how I arrived at that. This friend of mine. What was I talking about? It's such a crazy experience. I don't. Well, crazy is a one of those ill-defined words. It's I'm trying to find a better word. It's not a word that explains what I'm trying to say more. It's a psychedelic experience. My thing with forgetting, I can completely forget what I was just really excited about. It happens all day, constantly. It You know what? I'm going to back that up, because the thing about you're casting spells when you make the statements, especially with this self-talk thing, I really think that there's a lot of truth to that. Jim Quick talks about that a lot. And that's an example of someone, like, when there's somebody who, like, there's a lot of these personalities now that are very public, and some of the most successful ones are very public about one thing, or like a concept like Mark Manson. Unfuck yourself. Wait, is it unfuck yourself? No, he's the one who's fuck. No, there's another fuck guy who I like a lot. He's Scottish, and I think his book is on fuck yourself. Mark Manson is the one with the book that is. There's fuck. I'm forgetting. See, this is the thing. I used to know this. Now, is this the cannabis? I don't know. But back like the thing, like to blame. I think blaming it on drugs. I find when someone blames their behavior on drugs, I find that at least tacky, and in its more extreme examples, I don't want to be your friend if you're constantly saying I was acting that way because I was on drugs. Like, I have been in social situations really, really high before, and sometimes in a way where I am, and I wish to do this less on the other side of this pandemic. I think I've learned my lesson. There's a lot of things, and it's not just about embarrassment or consequences. Like, it's not a good experience being fucking. Sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's been so, because I have been in the arms of my friends. Like, I've been cradled like a baby in the arms of my friends when I have rendered myself more or less paralyzed, just catatonic at parties. And there's some people who would say that's very naughty of me. Everything is fucked. Thank you, Dale. Yeah, everything is fucked. A case for hope, or is it a story of hope? Everything is fucked. A story of hope, I believe, by Mark Manson. So yeah, Mark Manson is an example of somebody who is being a public person, being public with a particular point or several, but I would say his point is very well summarized in that title. Everything is fucked, a story for hope. I have not read that book. I already know what you're talking about, Mark Manson. And I would like to read the book. I would like to absorb it as an audiobook. I particularly enjoy audiobooks when I'm listening to the author narrate. God, that makes me, just saying that sentence now makes me more excited to try. God damn it, I want to write a book. I write so much when I write. If I just put it together, if I just get myself to fucking follow through about one point, or maybe that's the thing about my book, is that it's tangenting off all the time. But I would love to write a book and to have an audiobook that would make me feel so cool. And I got all the equipment to do it now. I could do it. I would fucking love to have an audiobook of mine. So anyway, Mark Manson, Everything is Fucked, A Story of Hope, a book about hope. That's what it's called. A book. Is it? Everything is Fucked, a book about hope. Okay, anyway, it's getting across. So I hear that and I know what you're saying. But so he's very, very public with the point of, you can be optimistic. It's really helpful to be optimistic, not just in lieu of or despite of, but perhaps even because everything is fucked. Don't worry. Don't worry about, well, I mean, there's stuff to be worried about, but don't be paralytically perfectionist. Everything is fucked. You're going to fuck up. There's a real case for hope because everything is fucked. And those public persons that are being as public as they can about something that really helped them. Like, it's one thing when there's somebody who's like, I got something to say and I think it's really helpful. But when you can see somebody like Mark Manson is a great example of that. The wisdoms that he's getting across in his writings is stuff that he's genuinely excited about because it helped him. You can tell. And I find his backstory very exciting. What is the difference between your story and your backstory? Your backstory is specifically the past, and your story is happening right now. So, like, my story, there's some things that I would love to be able to communicate, and I would be so excited. And I've had this experience before, but not with a book. A book would be so thorough, right? And back to Jesse Fox said, there are possibilities because of rules. Rules don't always stop you from doing stuff. Rules can be the thing that allows you to do something, and structure, discipline, continuity, doing the same thing over time. I have in the past had so much difficulty with that, but now I feel so strongly about the delayed marshmallow, the reward of just how beautiful and rewarding it would feel to finish my book. Which, by the way, I've started STEM ideas of, so I couldn't even throw a number out there. It's over hundreds of times I have sat down and started writing what I wanted, what I genuinely in the moment wanted to be a book, and I have forgotten. And my documents files are absurd. But oh man, even just like, because I think that I'm going to go see an actual. I'm going to say actual. I'm going to go see a therapist soon, a counselor, trying to find someone who takes my insurance that is like ha- ha- can claim that they specialize, that is outspokenly specialized in switcheroozy brain ADHD, the thing that I experience this pattern of just zipping around. And and one of the things that gets said about it a lot, that has very much been a thing in my experience, is that it seems just, it's just kind of one of like a cute inconsequential problem when you're a child and teenager. And but I've noticed as an adult is like, there's a lot of things that there's a lot of I find myself, failing at my own attempts, my own genuine attempts, and suffering a lot from not experience, not dif- focus being so difficult. Um, and I do believe that we can bend our behavior and develop new habits, and it really helps to have someone outside of your brain, and sometimes it can help in a certain special way for them not to be someone who is your friend, or who is, in your life in a way where you can't. That's the thing I realize very intensely now, that I used to not understand the value of a therapist who is not your friend, who is not who is not a person who is a character in your life outside of this one context, which is, I am your therapist. I am helping you with your brain. Tell me what's up, and I will respond, and and try to be a special certain sort of helpful, where uh, I would like to be told when I'm lying to myself and it's obvious to the person that I'm talking to, because that does happen. I think that I lie to others v- relatively very infrequently, and I could say I'm a very, very honest person. I will tell you the truth, but I do lie to myself. I think that's a part of the human experience, I think. I mean, if you got an inner monologue. No, not even, because it's not just like lie to yourself. Like, an example of lying to yourself is the thing where anger is the bodyguard of sadness. You're not being honest with yourself you, if you refuse to feel feelings that you don't want to feel. The truth is, there's some stuff that you're feeling. And the lie is, no, I'm not. No, we're not going there. Sort of thing. Dale says, of therapists, they can look at you subjectively as they are not family or friend. Yeah, as where your family or friend, has an obvious bias. And I noticed the way that goes with me. There was this. I am really on this kick now. And my friend and sometimes Nonsensus co-host Chris Orozco has some great content about this, and I agreed with him much that repression is bad and leads to explosive outbursts, or it can, but all repressing emotions hurts you, is a general statement, to varying degrees depending on the severity of the lie, or the behavior that is lieful. But repressing the truth of repressing your what could be called your truth, which is your emotions. Repressing emotions hurts you. I would say that that is generally true. Um, and expressing in healthy ways can be helpful, and sometimes in spicy, risky ways, even that is a little helpful because it's not explosively spicy, where you don't use the word spicy anymore. Because now we're getting into the territory of like that. Okay, now you're being fucking dangerous with true feelings that you could have, you know, punched a punching bag, or if you didn't have a punching bag, you punched the drywall. And now you're being destructive, and there's an actual fucking fist hole there. Would have been better if you could have had more control to know, like, all right, I'm mad. I'm gonna hit this thing that doesn't break. And now you've hit a wall. And some would take it to another extreme of a lack of control or impulsivity, where I have struck I have struck someone that I love. I'm not. This is not an admittance, but there are those who have had the experience of lashing out violently when that anger could have been expressed. Could have been could have escaped them in a less uh, consequential, dangerous, hurty, bad way, right? And sometimes I have emotions that are sometimes attached to sentences and words that sometimes do not form full sentences or complete thoughts. But sometimes I'll have an emotion and language in my inner monologue where it feels like it might probably be good for me to express this to someone. Um, and just maybe just a soundboard, you know. I do think that in my for me, I think that my therapist conversations, the difference between this, which because I think that I'm doing a therapy for myself right now, which is like I am expressing sincerely when I do podcasts. Um, but with the therapist, I do think that it feels right for me to ask, am I is that all right? Is it all right that I'm having this thought? And I know that it's not like the person is like that they're an authority on the true metric of a well-lived life, but or what is not good, or clinically insane sort of thing. I don't think that you're I don't think we should use the word insanity for having thoughts. Uh because I mean, I'm kind of defending myself, because if that's the true, then I am yeah, so I would and will ask of certain things that happen in my head, is this all right? Is it going to be okay that I have this thought? And the answer to that is always, well, as long as it's a thought. Yeah, that's there's and then, but that's probably pointing something. Let's talk about that, sort of thing. Anyway, I am actually grateful that amongst my problems as a consciousness experience attached to a human, and there's both nature and nurture going on with this, but I am grateful that anger that results in physical violence is not a thing that I am battled with at this point in my life. And I feel pretty confident that I'm on the other side of the knee jerk to blame and want to attack in any way, verbally or anyway. I don't go to blame outside of myself. I tend to turn my dissatisfaction or straight up fury and shame and stuff inward more often now. And there's definitely some bad about that, or some things we could work on. But I'm glad that I'm glad I just don't have that reflex as much as some that I observe. But I empathize with it. I think I could be helpful with that, you know. Uh, like if somebody were to come to me with if open to that, it's that their hatred is misplaced. People aren't usually open to that, though. People usually are pretty sure that their blame and or judgment or hatred is pointed at in the proper direction, because that's the nature of how judgment works. Externalized judgment, as opposed to what could I do differently to enjoy reality, the musical, the festival more tomorrow. Which I think that's always a constructive question, yes? And what could these motherfuckers do differently that would make me feel better about their choices or result in a better world? That's just not as helpful of a thought experiment or conversation, I think. I never drank the wine that is in front of me, and I shall do that now. And I shall press this thing while I do.
The future's gonna be just as weird as now is. I promise. The future's gonna be absurd as the past. Be sure of that. The future's gonna be just as weird as now is. I promise. The future's gonna be absurd as the past. Be sure of that.
So yesterday, it's not that I had a bad day, or the way I would talk about it, it's not that I had a bad day. I really got to experience, more so than I have ever observed myself, waking up in the morning, recognizing that I was already in a funk. Feels more like depressive to me. I woke up in a shitty mood, and I have found, both from the menu and just really weird things that are very particular to me, methods to change my mood. Saying good morning from. Make sure that I'm right about the flag before I. Got it. All right. Are you saying you're in China? You're in China now? Good morning from China. I just veered off. Jeez. What was I fucking saying? Fuck. Oh yeah, I can get into a bad brain move, and I can begin a day knowing that this is not good. If I proceed into the day with this situation mentally, it's going to be a bad day. It's going to be a bad day. And I recognized that yesterday morning, waking up, and Vietnam. Yeah, jeez, God, of course. All right, yeah. Oh, good morning from Vietnam. You're in Vietnam. Yeah, I remember becoming aware of this via the Facebook reads, but awesome. So it's morning over there. Well, good morning from the good old US of A, Dale. Sure. What was I fucking saying? I'm gonna be so embarrassed about that. I thought that at first look, I just saw the colors. I'm making excuses for myself. Yeah, it's Vietnam. That's the flag of Vietnam. I know, but all I saw was yellow star, red background. I didn't see the placement. But now, after having had this publicly embarrassing moment, I mean, some people aren't gonna be too. Wait, you feel embarrassment about others judging or scorning you or seeing you fuck up. But others will be embarrassed with me. What is it that you say? Others will be. I don't think that. I think that most of my friends and viewers, and most of my viewers are friends at this point, won't shame me too much for seeing the flag of Vietnam and at first glance saying that it was China. My brain did a weird thing just then. And how much is it appropriate to blame your brain? Blame your brain. But just like sometimes, it seems like what my consciousness machine is doing. Like you're playing a video game, and this happens a lot, especially in hockey video games. It's the video game that's fucking up. It's not you. There's some moments where it's just like, okay, that was a video game moment. I was doing everything right. That should have been a goal, and it wasn't. And it's the video game's fault. Sometimes it's like that with having a brain and doing consciousness. And it is 12 hours in the future in Vietnam right now, which means that it is 7 a.m. Well, good morning, man. Yesterday morning, I woke up in a bad mood of a shitty brain situation, and I knew that if I proceeded immediately into the day and kept up that momentum, I was going to experience a bad day because I was going to be extra mad at anything that I saw is going wrong, and everything just seems to annoy me when my brain's doing that. And it's like, it can be so helpful to make an effort to, like, not necessarily get, like, will yourself into feeling euphoric or even any level of positivity, optimism, good, happy, any words like that, but just not be in a state of mental suffering, of neurosis. I will sometimes notice that I am in a storm of neurosis, and the thoughts they will range from shitty to evil, but I don't act on those, apparently. And the knowing more and having more experiences of being able to redirect a thought storm like that, a brain situation, to get, and just treat it like it's a computer that's doing a thing. Sometimes you got too many windows open, that causes a thing. Sometimes you're using up too much of your CPU. It'll just do it. You just gotta, or for those who do stuff with engine things, there's like a situation that can totally be corrected with the engine. You try to drive the thing when the engine is like that. I'm being very vague right now because I don't know engine talk. There's gonna be problems. It's going to behave as an engine does, as a computer will when it needs to be defragged. And I have some techniques for bringing my mental state to not always a good place from a bad place, but at least a neutral or less bad, and yesterday that happened. And man, I got to tell you, last night was some of the worst brain experience stuff that I've had awake, because I have wretched nightmares sometimes, and sleep paralysis and things that experiences that are meet the criteria for night terror, because nightmare just isn't a scary enough word. But awake and not on psychedelics or anything. I was just here in this very loft. I had a little bit of wine, but no, I was not affected. I was not affected on any substance things, and my brain was just. It's not just negativity; it's weaving doom. It's like the creative muscle. I have the ability, I have the choice to only publicly present positive stuff. I could make that choice. I think I was trying it for a while there. I don't remember if I was ever like really consistent, but there was a period of years where I was really embattled with the decision of, would it be better if I was positive all the time? And then there was just way more. And I'm very glad, and I applaud and am very thankful that it became a more popularized idea that there is such a thing as fucking toxic positivity. It's lies. It's lying. But it's not a lie if it would not be a lie if I chose to do a public persona thing where I only put out positive messaging things. And there's a case to be made for somebody doing that. I think there totally is. And I know, and there's some public personas that I appreciate them for their continuity. And all right, you're the one that I listen to when there's some public persons that they don't tell you things that bum you out. There's just not, and I don't imagine that they're super giddy or just optimistic all the time. Like, one's an example, Abraham Hicks. I've never heard her say that you're doomed or that there's even the potential. I have never heard her say a sentence that implies something like it might not be all right. And to me, my most honest, the way if you were to ask me, is it going to be all right? It depends on the mood that I'm in, because I can I can be a creative doom factory sometimes. And I think that it would be to be on the other side of that and be a public person who is only presenting, like, the words for this are like gothy, though I know very, very optimistic and pleasant gothy folks. But where it becomes your character to always be fuck the world, burn it all down, I hate it here, shit, like that. I know I got some friends who are like that, often. And if it's sincere, then that's, that's how you're being. But the ones who, like Abraham Hicks, who is like, I've never heard a single recording of her saying it's suggesting that it might not be all right. So if you ask me now, I'll ask myself, Zakery, is it going to be all right? I could honestly say, yeah, because that the state of all right, you're deciding what that is. Like with the pandemic situation and like this spring and summer, I think it is way more of I'm hearing much more active discussion, like actively working towards, like, what do we think we're going to do this spring and summer if parenthetical quotations not parenthetical quotations quotation marks, quotations, if they try to stop us from having gatherings, but we observe that it is safe to have gatherings. Like, what are we going to do if the government tries to stop us from freedoming but we observe that it would actually be safe to freedom? I think, or that what if our particular state government is saying we're going to be ultra safe in terms of not generating new cases, but we can observe and are pretty sure that we're getting to the point where we've got to thread the needle of, are we causing ourselves more havoc by the prescriptions, the corrective efforts that we're trying to do in good faith to solve one problem? Are we causing another list of problems with mental health and people not being able to make money and take care of themselves? That's a real conversation, I'd sure say. but I don't know if I don't know what this fucking spring, I don't know what next month is going to be like at all. So if you ask me, is it going to be all right? Or like particularly, is it going to be, I'll make a real specific question. Is it going to be possible to have fun this summer? I'll be real specific. Are we going to be able to have good lives this spring and summer of 2021 in Michigan? My answer to that, honestly, is yes. Yes, because I'm sure that, I don't want to say no matter what happens, but I'm sure that I will choose to adapt. And I'll say it. Whatever happens, I'm not going to allow myself to lean into this is fucked, this sucks, and now that's a prediction about my future behavior. And I have found that when Zakery makes promises, sometimes I literally forget that I made the promise, or I just change so much before the promissory deadline comes up that it's like, I don't even want to do that anymore. What the hell was past Zakery doing, making prescriptions for Zakery's future? No, I'm not doing that. But I would say today confidently, is it going to be all right? Is it going to be possible to have fun? I would say yes, because I've already decided that no matter what, I'm gonna adapt, or at least laugh maniacally in the face of real problems, my own real problems. So I have a policy of not laughing at other people's suffering publicly, but I totally laugh at my own. Oh my God, it's fucking. It's some of the best laughter is, holy shit, what the fuck? Oh my God, reality is fucking me right now. Like, I'm glad that I have the reflex to laugh sometimes. And sometimes laughing about it all the time is the thing where you're lying to yourself about, like, you're actually really sad and upset about something, but you're just always turning it into humor, laughter. And I say that I don't know what the right ratio is, but I have generally decided for myself that I will spend my time in suffer mind mode only as much as necessary if I can help it. I will try to wriggle my way out of that, or do the thing where I express the thing that needs to be expressed, that its repression is causing pain, sort of thing. That's my mode. So is it going to be all right this summer? Yes, but I have no the fuck idea if that means no nonsense nights, if that means no festivals, if that means no, just being able to have a party at your house and be observed without, at the very least, being judged, or there being a very, very real, objective, like mathematical likelihood that you are causing real, objective problems, perhaps even death, by getting together all willy-nilly. I think that at this point, it is important to address the mental, emotional, the real problems that are caused from isolation, by trying to get to have social interactions safely. That is my current observation. And by safely, I mean doing the thing where you put the thing over the face. Outside right now, I live in a wintry place. We're not hanging out outside that much. Oh, I really want to, though. I really want to get together with a club of people. I would like to start a club, perhaps right now, if anybody is in Michigan. If anybody else is interested in Wim Hof, cold exposure, and the breathing method, or just pretty much the teachings of Wim Hof. But it's a very interesting thing. We call it the Wim Hof method, but this exposing yourself to cold on purpose, and doing breathing exercises and stuff, or just general over oxygenation. It could just be called, you're just breathing very deeply and thoroughly on purpose, to over oxygenate yourself. That has been a thing for a long time. But this fellow came along named Wim Hof and super popularized it and has it down to a science. And I personally really enjoy being guided through the breathing method with his voice, particularly. I listen to it in Spanish because I'm learning Spanish. And it's Wim Hof's voice teaching in Spanish, which I think is great. And, but yeah, this thing where cold does this thing can send you into this magical state and with the breathing also. But I want to get together with individuals in Michigan, have a thing where it's regular, perhaps weekly, where we go to somewhere and go into a river, or at least, strip down to our shorts or minimal clothing and go for a hike in the woods in the middle of winter. And I would like that to be a thing. I would like to start that. I would like that. I'm going to come up with a funny name. And Jesse, if you were interested, I am already, it could just be the two of us go to, I think that it is so fucking powerful. I have experienced the power of what could be called the Wim Hof method, but, or in general, the power of cold, especially for my brain. Like the situation that I've spent a lot of what might have sounded like complaining, but anyway, I recognize that sometimes what my brain does knee-jerkingly causes problems, or yeah, I would prefer that my brain not always be so many tendrils flying all around. Fucking, I can't seem to focus on anything. Never say never, but it's just difficult. It's just very single point focus, very, very difficult holding that. The cold and certain molecules, but the cold, by that I meant compounds, like ingestible things. There's certain things that I consume that will slow things down, but I don't want to be consuming a thing all the time, doing that cheat code all the time to be able to. Anyway, the cold is a healthy cheat code, but you got to have this attitude about it. You got to be like, this is not uncomfortable. This is cold. It's cold. It's intense, but it's good. I've decided I like it. I've decided that it's making me. I've decided that it's turning. It's making me come to life. It's really cool, and it does this thing I find where I will stop thinking, and I for fucking so many years of being somebody who would overhear a lot of Buddhism and just overhear a lot of Zen talk, and I'd be like, when people would sometimes say things where it's like, are you telling me to like anything, like silence my mind? That doesn't happen. There is no thoughtlessness. And the better definition of meditation that I've heard, that is you're not trying to stop the thoughts and be thoughtless. You observe and stop and not be judging them and not be identifying with the thoughts as they come up. But anyway, the cold, when I go into the cold and properly do this thing where I relax into and accept the cold, it's the closest thing to thoughtlessness that I've ever experienced. And sometimes those thoughts are just, holy fuck, it's cold. But yeah, I would love to do that. Dale says, the best way to deal with the universe fucking you is to laugh. Getting upset only makes the situation worse. Laughing at these situations can lead to bottling those real emotions and explosive anger. The best way, let me read that back again. Did I read that right? The best way to deal with the universe fucking you is to laugh. Getting upset only makes the situation worse. Laughing at these situations can lead to bottling those emotions. Did you just contradict yourself? The best way to deal with the universe fucking you is to laugh. Getting upset only makes the situation worse. Laughing at these situations can lead to bottling those real emotions and explosive anger. And I will add to that, but sometimes you got to let some steam out. And sometimes that's safely exploding with anger that's something that really, throwing a controlled tantrum where I'm not hurting or even hurting anybody's feelings. I can just go somewhere where nobody's even going to hear or observe me and shout and throw a fucking tantrum. And it can be really, really helpful with, okay, so now I'm not like, I'm not immersed in the anger. I'm not overwhelmed by the feeling of anger. There is anger, and after expressing it, it's like, oh, there was anger, and probably will be again, but now it's outside of me, and nothing is destroyed, and no one is hurt. Good, cool. I angered well today. So this has been. You're practicing Buddhism, Dale? That's cool. Is there community for you to do that in Vietnam? Sometimes I get curious about what would happen if I had a regular engagement with a religious community. And some people would argue that Buddhism is more of a framework for reality, or like kind of like a rubric, or maybe even not even so much a rubric, just like a way of looking at the world, a way of proceeding a way, and not so much a religion as we think of it as like dogma and stuff. But man, like my getting together and Buddhisming, I think that would be I think that would be great for me. I think flat out, I find that structure helps me, even if it's loose structure, even if it's just something like for an hour a day, we're going to meet in this building and we're going to uh, sit quietly. That would be I think that all things like that help in my life when I commit and consent and show up to that sort of congregation. Oh, you say it is the main religion here in Vietnam. Well, that means there is available community. That's cool. I know that there's places. I mean, if you go looking, there you'll find the others. And I almost would dare to say that in the United States of America, if you live in a population center, if you go looking in any city, if you go looking, there's a group of people that are either already getting together about something that you're into, or like that it exists. The potential for community formulation exists, and it is clearly observable. Even though I personally myself, oh my God, do I get annoyed with humans? And I'm really actually, I do not know how easy or difficult it's going to be to reassimilate to having more frequent social interactions face to face on the other side of this pandemic situation. I don't know about that personally for myself. I know that there are those who are going to have a rough go at it, and I would like to help with that. I've got some strategies for when we can start having gatherings of any size again. But let's say total greenlit. We've done it. We've defeated the pandemic. Let's say if that were this July, I have been thinking about for like a decade actually, and with all the nonsense nights that we've had before, I've been thinking about what are all the different ways to address the truth of neurodiversity and different people's approach or preference, or like straight up ability to socialize. And one of those tricks to help people socialize who have a difficult time socializing is to allow for games, and to set up a buffet of experiences that have some structure, like games. There are those, like, this is just one example, but there are those whose neuro situation as it goes with socializing, or just like their current state, and sometimes it's just like a mood. It's an emotional, like there's someone at the party who the thing that will allow for them to make the choice to connect with others is there being the available option to play a game. So choices of games are great. Because not everybody likes the same games, literally video games. Like, oh man, if and somebody might say like, but we're going to be able to get, why would you want to stare? That's the type of shit I hate when somebody's like, we just fucking head up like let's call it 2 years. Let's say that it's 3 years if we're like nearly locked down. That's possible. There's fucking the possibilities for the strains to fire up. I don't know what's going to happen. And it's like, so it's 2020. Let's say it's 2026. And it's like, oh my God, finally. But now we can totally have nonsense nights. We can have nonsense and no limit on who can be here, just, regular old capacity of the building like we used to. And I know that there's individuals who will see someone playing a video game on a projector, like Super Smash Brothers, like 4-way Super Smash Brothers on a projector. And somebody's thought might be, and they might even say it to somebody like, why would you want to stare at a screen? We just spent 3 fucking years staring at screens mostly, and now we can be together in the flesh. Don't you want to dance? Don't you want to stare into each other's eyes and breathe into each other's mouths and be here now with each other? And it's like, yeah, but the person who's there might be one or all 4 of those people who are sitting playing Super Smash Brothers at the Nonsense Night in 2027 or whatever. Sometimes that's someone's saving grace to be able to socialize as opposed to being a wallflower or, as we say, in the cut all night, which it can be enjoyable to be in the cut. I often, at social party gatherings, I remain in the cut. I enjoy being in the cut and being more observational when I'm in certain moods. But sometimes I get quite extroverted and interpersonal. Lorraine says, you can fix it by using the edit button, by clicking on 3 little dots on the side of your comment, Dale. No error is permanent. That was a very specific example of no error is permanent. But yes, this does allow for you to edit your comments. And I see what you're saying. You're saying that if you put a comment in the paragraph that I was misreading as 2 sentences that contradict each other, that it would make sense. Let me see if I can guess where to put that comment, and then I would like to end this broadcast because I've talked for 2 hours, and yeah. The best way to deal with the universe fucking you is to laugh. Getting upset only makes the situation worse. Laughing at these situations can lead to bottling those real emotions and explosive anger. I don't know where the comment would go that would make it so that is not 2 sentences, that one is saying that you should laugh and one is saying that it can be bad to laugh. But I knew what you meant. And that's the most important thing to me about communication and connection and interpersonal stuff these days is comprehensible input. I think that I have made incoherent mouth sounds a lot in the past and been talking and not making enough effort to make myself understood. And I know how it feels when somebody is talking around or in front of me and I don't understand what the fuck they're saying. I really like the phrase, I'm not saying I don't know. I'm not saying you don't know what you're talking about, but I don't know what you're talking about. I like that. I also like when my mom says, you're rowing. I can see you're rowing, but your oars aren't in the water. I like that. This has been a Nonsensus. I've had fun, said some stuff, and I'm ready to go silent now. And maybe I'll do a cold shower do right now after this. And I encourage anybody who I encourage you, no matter what level you're at, if you have any interest in the power of cold stuff, to attempt a cold shower. And by that I don't mean you have to like have it be cold the whole time to like be washing yourself. The whole idea, and you can have it be hot before and then just sandwich cold, like make it really hot and like have several minutes of warm water to the point where you're like uncomfortably warm. And then that makes it a lot easier to make it cold for even like 10 seconds. But if you expose yourself to being like, holy fuck, this is cold, and then sustain that for whatever amount of time you can or you want to, whether it be 7 seconds or some folks make it several minutes, or some folks just make it a policy that they only shower cold. And the fucking water gets super cold in this shower at this loft that I'm living at, which is my last month living here. I'm gonna be moving out of this place. Got some fond memories here. I'm gonna be moving out at the end of February. Anyway, the water gets really fucking cold here. I'm gonna miss that feature because you can get really cold. I can get hurt myself with that, with how cold it gets. But anyway, you don't have to hurt yourself. You just, but it does. Yeah, any amount of this, from what I understand and what I have personally experienced, if you make it a thing, a part of your day, or just every other day, or just whenever, like as often as you remember to, or as often as you actually choose to, that cold showers do a thing. And I think that the way I would explain that, just like psycho-spiritually, is, or just the psychological thing that's going on is, this is going to be what could be called uncomfortable, but it's going to be good for me. Is it possible for me to decide that uncomfort, that it's not actually uncomfortable, that that's a subjective thing, and I'm just calling it that with my mind, and oh, now it's happening. Oh, this is cold. This is cold. This is cold. This is cold. Ah, this is comfortable. This sucks. Wait, what if I can decide to say, this is cold. This is what cold feels like. I love this. I feel alive. And then if you need to, you can be like, okay, holy fuck, I'm definitely going to make the water warm, and because I find washing with warm is a different experience. It's just more effective. Anyway, that was about that was my suggestions for you with showering, is to incorporate cold water. All right, goodbye everybody. Bye Dale. Bye Lorraine. Bye Jesse. Bye everybody. Goodbye. This has been a Nonsense Happy Reality.